Welcome to Game Data. This week we're reviewing the latest game in the Pokémon franchise, Pokémon Legends Arceus. Releasing about 2 months after remakes of Pokémon Diamond and Pearl, Legends Arceus picks up where the lore of those games left off, but hundreds of years in the past. Don't let its prequel status fool you though. This game is nothing like the games before it. Rather than sticking to the tried and true formula of the past 25 years, Legends Arceus expands the wild area concepts of Sword and Shield into something all its own. In many ways, it's the best Pokémon game in over a decade, but in other ways, it's not actually a Pokémon game at all. Sound confusing? Well, keep watching, and I think you'll see what I mean. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get started. The general premise of Legends Arceus will sound extremely familiar to anyone who's played the previous Pokémon Mystery Dungeon games. You, the protagonist, are ripped from your own time period by a mysterious deity and dropped into Jubilife Village in the Hisui region, and given a single ominous message to start you off. Find all Pokémon to meet me again. Discovered unconscious on a beach by the local professor, Professor Laventon, you quickly show an aptitude for catching Pokémon. This gets you an introduction to join the Galaxy research team, who are wary of you at first, but will ultimately need all the help they can get to help them calm frenzied Pokémon in the area, primarily in the interest of keeping the villagers safe. However, the Galaxy team and the other villagers are also newcomers to the region. Although they've collected a ton of data on the area, they're novices interacting with the ecosystem at best, and trespassers on the lands at worst. As such, they'll need to rely heavily on the main two native clans, Diamond and Pearl, who also happen to be feuding about who has the right information about the identity of their god, Sinnoh. Throughout the story, you'll need to win the trust of villagers, clans, and research team while uncovering the mystery of the frenzied Pokémon. If that weren't enough, the professor also tasks you with completing the first Pokédex by collecting detailed observations of about 242 Pokémon across the region. If that sounds like a lot, that's because it really is. From the start, the game establishes that collecting monsters is the main goal of this game, as opposed to the past games which sideline collection as a means to collect gym badges. It takes quite some time to catch all available monsters, and there's quite a lot of story and lore to unpack in this game. For me, I was able to reach the end credits in about 25 hours, and would spend another 20 or so hours finishing the post-game story. For those interested in finishing this game 100%, that means filling all Pokédex entries, completing all side requests, gaining the highest rank in the Galaxy research team, 60 plus hours seems likely for anyone not rushing to complete the tasks as soon as humanly possible. With this in mind, it's great that the story actually delivers, for the most part. The core story is entertaining and doesn't overstay its welcome. Main characters are fun to interact with and are allowed some moments of real depth. There's also a ton of small details and lore packed into tiny corners of the game, which will undoubtedly excite anyone interested in looking. This is all a welcome change from a majority of past Pokémon games, in which the story has felt more like an afterthought, lacking proper development. Although, don't go in expecting something as deep as some other notable action RPGs on the market, like Horizon Zero Dawn. Part of that lowered expectation comes from a lack of inner dialogue from the protagonist. While everyone around the protagonist has anxiety about where the protagonist came from and what their purpose is, we never really learn how the protagonist feels about landing in an unknown foreign environment, outside a few glimpses in the short responses made to other characters. The silence might be expected from a series famous for silent protagonists, but it detracts from truly understanding the psychological impact of the protagonist's predicament. Similarly, voice acting is sorely missed throughout the game. To be clear, the game's dialogue often reads well, and scenes are almost always short enough to not make reading a hassle. However, in 2022, where most big budget games have accepted the necessity of voice acting to convey emotion in larger stories, it feels like an auto mission. Now, at the beginning of this video, I stated that Legends Arceus is possibly the best Pokémon game, but not really a Pokémon game at all, and most of that is due to its gameplay mechanics. Since the first Pokémon games launched in the late 90s, mainline games have stuck to a core, very traditional system of turn-based battles with little interaction between trainers and Pokemon in the overworld. Even as other classic RPG series, like Final Fantasy, have evolved from simple turn-based combat, Pokemon stuck to its guns, with the exception of a handful of side games. As a result, Legends Arceus' hybrid action RPG gameplay feels less like a mainline Pokemon game and more like a combination of Monster Hunter Rise, with its crafting, exploration, and field-based mechanics, with a hint of Final Fantasy X's conditional turn-based battle system. While Jubilife Village is the heart of the story, players spend most of their time in the 5 open exploration areas across the region. Every trip to an exploration area has players studying, catching, and battling wild Pokemon, while completing tasks created by the village and clans, and crafting new items using resources found in those areas. It all sounds pretty basic in principle, but adds up to some really flexible gameplay with a healthy dose of strategy. For example, while traveling, players will need to keep an eye on their surroundings. If a Pokemon catches wind of a nearby player, they're likely to either flee or attack. While fleeing can make catching more difficult for the player, aggressive Pokemon which attack the player too many times result in the player blacking out and losing a chunk of their inventory. While the player's Pokemon get stronger over time, their own health doesn't scale by much, so anyone not paying suitable attention could wind up just as damaged from a level 3 Shinx as they are a level 70 Luxray. The extra level of tension this creates makes traversing Hisui extra fun and exciting. There's nothing quite like the rush of trying to sneak up on a Pokemon only to get found out by another Pokemon and quickly launching a Pokeball before dodge rolling out of the way as quickly as possible to avoid attacks. This extends to the frenzied Pokemon boss battles too, as their trials are more a test of a trainer's ability to coordinate aiming with dodging rather than their Pokemon's strength in battle, since these areas of the game actively pit the trainer 1v1 against an oversized Pokemon. The controls can get a bit hectic in these areas, but the simplicity of the dodge roll and throwing mechanics will likely make sense to anyone who's played a modern action RPG. When battles do occur though, they carry their own sense of excitement and difficulty. Transitions between the world and battles are fluid and quick. Older games often took a few seconds to start and end each battle, but Legends Arceus fine-tunes the experience by making getting in and out of battles feel as seamless as shaking a tree for berries. The new battle animations and free-moving camera also heighten the sense of impact and immersion with each battle. Compounded with the updated speed-based battle mechanics, battles throughout the game can feel tense and exciting. Battles in previous games often had players spamming their strongest move to get through battles, whereas this game requires trainers to more often think, how will a move impact the flow of battle? Should I use an agile style move to take additional turns, or a strong style move to deal more damage right now, at the cost of moving a bit slower? As a result, battles feel more fun than they have in the past, and tend to require more strategy as the story progresses. There are some battles that are more difficult than any other battles found in any other Pokemon game. And, I personally failed at some of those battles, and also mistimed plenty of dodges throughout my hours playing, such that I blacked out at least a couple times. And players are likely to experience a healthy dose of challenge from this game, which is exactly what Pokemon fans have been after for the longest time. Adding to the challenge slightly, this game is extremely vertical. This is even more true as players progress throughout the game, but luckily, the game continuously provides access to more helper Pokemon, which afford more travel options overall. For example, Weirdeer speeds up land travel while Basculegion enables fast travel across water. It gives the impression that the developers understood that as the accessible areas expanded in size, players also wouldn't want to spend an incredible amount of time navigating them. And yeah, that's exactly the case here. Especially in the post-game, where the largest task is completing the Pokedex. Certain Pokemon spawn only in small patches of land in remote areas. Walking to each location would be exhausting, but flying? That's a different story altogether. There's nothing quite like flying over a group of Pokemon, spotting a rare Pokemon from way up above, and swooping down to pick it up. It's these sorts of experiences which really propel Legends Arceus from being a good game to a great game. Even if the story were awful, the gameplay is extremely solid and packed with great choices by the developer that makes for some really fun play sessions. If I had one disappointment about general gameplay, it's that online play is surprisingly light for this game, limited to trading and a co-op satchel mechanic. Online trading is always welcome for a Pokemon game, as it generally allows for a decent community experience. And the satchel mechanic is also pretty neat. Essentially, whenever a player blacks out, their satchel gets dropped in that area. Other players online can then locate the satchel to return it. The blacked out player gets their item back, and the finder gets points that they can spend on rare items like rare candies and evolution stones. It's a win-win mechanic that offers some nifty side missions when I'm looking for a quick diversion. Unfortunately, as welcome as both of these offerings are, they do nothing for the lack of online battling. Given how great the changes to battle mechanics worked out for this game, I would have loved to test my team against others. The omission is likely due to the Pokemon Company's desire for Sword and Shield to still be the place for competitive battles, but it definitely feels like a missed opportunity, especially since the number of trainer battles to really test the new battle mechanics are severely lacking in the post-game. In general, the performance of this game's been pretty smooth. The frame rate has remained constant while docked, and my few hours playing undocked haven't surfaced any major issues either. Throughout my playthrough, I have experienced minor glitches though. Occasionally the screen is briefly flickered. When it first occurred, I figured it must be my HDMI cable, but nah, it's continued even after swapping out cables, and it continues to happen every once in a while, largely when exiting menus. I've also had the game crash once, but it hasn't happened again, and autosave only sent me back a couple minutes, so do with that info as you will. In general, I'd say I'm a big fan of this game's art style. The cel-shaded look reminds me a lot of Breath of the Wild, in a good way, combined with some tweaks in the slightest resemblance of classic Japanese paintings. In addition to being a good aesthetic, it provides a nice coat of paint for the lower resolution textures. Don't get me wrong, the game honestly looks pretty great. As a player, I generally have no problem with the game's visuals. As a reviewer though, it's a reminder of the level of detail needed for a large complex game like this to run smoothly, albeit at 1080p 30 FPS on the Nintendo Switch. And that's really where this game lets me down a bit, in areas demonstrating the limitations of the Nintendo Switch. As much as I love the fact that the Switch makes this game portable, its low processing power isn't enough to handle all the elements in Legends Arceus' expansive environments. Pop-ins are frequent in this game. While not too much of an issue when walking or running, any fast movement reveals how much of the horizon isn't loaded at any given time. This is especially true when seen from above. While flying, it looks like half the environment is loading in real time to catch up with your speed. When playing undocked, the range of rendered objects also seems a bit lower, meaning that pop-ins occur more frequently. Docked or undocked, I got used to how things loaded quite quickly, but your experience may vary. In general, I'm satisfied with how this game looks, but I'm not beyond saying that I don't look forward to one day running it on a more powerful machine. So where does that leave us? Overall, if you own a Switch and enjoy games with a ton of content, Legends Arceus is worth giving a shot. If you can live without voice acting, its story delivers a fascinating tale about how people interact with each other and their environment. The general gameplay loop also produces some of the most fun and satisfying experiences I've had in an RPG in a long time. The only real caveats to trying this game are a limited set of online features, and the fact that it being a Switch game means some sacrifices to performance were made to get it to run smoothly. So how about you? Do you have any thoughts or comments about Pokemon Legends Arceus that you'd like to share? Go ahead and let us know down in the comments. Also, if you like this video, be sure to click that like button and get subscribed to Game Data for more videos just like it. We post new videos at least every 2 weeks and have plenty of video game content planned for the future. Until next time, catch you later.